A thread by Dr. Russell McGregor. Extremely important thread. Aussie whistleblower insider gives first-hand evidence of Spygate origin prior to candidate Trump running. In the past few days, Brett McAuliffe at Aussie Brett has publicly outlined the sworn evidence he provided to Barr and Durham at the DOJ and Graham in the Senate. This entails an act of war against the people of the United States by Five Eye governments. The genesis of spying to subvert the American democratic process can now be documented as occurring prior to June 2015. This is well before the official start of the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane investigation on July 31st, 2016. The significance and gravity of this information is self-evident. Brett held the position of the Authorized Officer, AO, of the Information Disclosure Unit, IDU, at the ATO, Australian Taxation Office. He worked at the head office in Goulburn Street, Sydney. The ATO is analogous to the IRS. Brett was unique in that he was the only person at the ATO, the Australian IRS, who could view top secret information disclosure requests, unmaskings, run through Five Eye intelligence. By law, the ATO is connected to Australian and foreign Five Eye intelligence agencies, including ASIO, ASIS, ASD, AGO, DIO, AFP from Australia. From the United States, CIA, DIA, FBI, NGA, NSA. From Canada, CFINTCOM, CSE, CSIS, some other Brit country, DDIS, GCSB, NZSIS, and of course from Great Britain, GCHQ, DISIS, MI5, MI6. Brett was that bridge. What is that country? New Zealand, sorry. That's DDIS, GCSB, NZSIS. Brett was that bridge connection with those agencies. As you are aware, Five Eyes acts to circumvent laws in each country by allowing other countries to spy on their citizens. Whilst Brett was an AO for Five Eye, he was essentially removed from the environment where entrenched Five Eye actions occurred at the traditional intelligence agencies. Brett is subject to an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, at the ATO. As such, he cannot be publicly specific about details and names. He has, however, supplied them in private emails, bank accounts, photos, phone numbers, etc., to Barr and Durham under oath. These redacted lists entail the people and entities surveilled by Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Great Britain, for the deep state in America. Brett has alluded that the first 10 unmaskings pertain to POTUS. He went on sick leave the day after Trump announced his candidacy and left the ATO in December 2015. Brett does not like the spotlight, similar to me. However, he decided to engage the public because he felt the Australian government was not cooperating with the Barr and Durham investigations. He is also driven by the betrayal of our historic ally, the United States. Patriots are aware that Obama, Brennan, Comey, and Clapper used the NSA supercomputer at Langley, Virginia, as their own blackmail pay-to-play data mining game. This was called Operation Hammer, H-A-M-R. Most importantly, political opponents were surveilled by this method. Indeed, Sidney Powell says at least 16,000 Americans were unmasked by Hammer illegally. So why did Brennan, Comey, Clapper, and Clinton come to Australia and New Zealand for reconnaissance in 2015-2016? One would assume that Hammer was adequate to get dirt on opponents. However, Brett tells me Hammer was not enough. So my guess is either Hammer doesn't provide the quality of surveillance that Five Eye does, or they were worried access would cease post-November 2016. Hence, I might postulate that the trips down under were to apply pressure on Australia and New Zealand to cover up the Five Eye spying and or ensure it continued post-November 2016 if Trump won. This would be required to force a coup d'etat. I also would hypothesize that Five Eyes spying had occurred for decades. Hammer had occurred for several years under Obama, and FISA abuse was simply a mechanism to hide or justify the criminal activity. My task here is to voice the bombshell evidence on Five Eyes spying by a first-hand witness. It is up to digital soldiers to disseminate. All Spygate pretext collapses if Brett's information is known. It does appear that Joe Hockey, Australian ambassador to the US, was attempting to hide our role in Spygate. Our meaning Australia's role in Spygate. We cannot let the Australian government's crimes go unpunished. Thus, I shall give a special shout out to all Aussie patriots. Please email or write your local member and demand full transparency and investigation of Brett's evidence. This includes any other Australian complicity in spying on American politicians via Five Eye. Please follow Brett on Twitter at Aussie Brett with an extra T, BRETTT. His website is AustraliaBetraysAmerica.com. I might also suggest you engage him via Q&A on Twitter to glean more about his role with the ATO, Australian IRS, and knowledge of Spygate. Similarly, you could view his interview on Red Pill 78. The last 5 minutes is best. Finally, I would just like to send a message to the Australian agencies that are connected to Five Eyes, ASIO, ASIS, AFP, ASD, DIO, and AGO. You are not just gutless cowards for your lack of whistleblowing in Spygate. You are criminals, and you are traitors.